Let's start with what broke yesterday with a team that is hoping to be in the college football playoff this time next year. Bill Belichick. Yep, that Bill Belichick. The mumbling, cut-off hoodie, Tom Brady sidekick / maybe responsible for Tom Brady's success, however you want to cut that, is heading to be the next head coach in Chapel Hill. It is now going to be Chapel Bill. And here's what I want to start with. This is a really fun storyline. Like, as a college football fan, having arguably the greatest football coach at the professional level of all time is fun for college football. If I'm a North Carolina fan, I can easily talk myself into this. You don't think a cutoff hoodie looks sick in Argyle and that Tar Heel blue? I promise you it does. I promise you it does. So there's a lot to like about this. However, if we're just going to go first-person shooter mode and how we feel about this thing, I don't get it at all. I don't get it at all. For starters, Tom Brady is, I think, arguably the most mentally tough competitor, most mentally gifted competitor of all time. Like, it took a lot to bother that dude. He had a million fourth-quarter comebacks. Like, he had ice in his veins, and he was extremely, extremely mentally tough. He has been on record, along with a number of other NFL superstars that have said this guy was kind of hard to play for, and I'm putting it lightly. So if Tom Brady and all his success and the way that he's wired found Bill Belichick a little bit tricky to play for, so much so, in fact, that he ended up going somewhere else to finish his career, win a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, mind you, in Tampa, how do you think that's going to go for Jimmy Four-Star, who's still trying to figure out life in general, let alone college football? Do you think he's going to respond extremely well to the Patriot way? You're saying, well, JD, hey, listen, like, it's not going to be the old Bill Belichick. Really? Are we sure? Because if Bill Belichick was going to adapt, he'd still be in the NFL, just to call a spade here. It was Bill Belichick's lack of willingness to adapt that kept him from being a coach right now for the New England Patriots, from my understanding. So I don't get it from that front. I think that's going to be a very, very quirky fit, kind of round peg and square hole. Also, there's, I think, a fair question to be asked here, like, if I'm Bill Belichick, why am I doing this? Like, you can go make great money on TV. You can have a blast being on the McAfee show and chopping it up with NFL football and different shows all the time. Like, why do you want to do this? The response there is like, hey, JD, he just wants to be around the game, man. He loves football. Does he? Or does he just want to get back to the NFL? Because if the stepping stone is I'll do a great job at North Carolina and then I'll get back to the NFL that way, I'm like, I don't know if this is necessarily the path to do that. Because I think the thing that a lot of folks are standing on when it comes to their take around Bill Belichick being a success in Chapel Hill is, well, hey, JD, he's going to run it like an NFL program. All right, they're gonna flip this thing on its head. They got some NIL money they're going to throw around there, and they're going to make that place a contender. That's great. You run it like an NFL program. Do you have NFL players? Are you out recruiting Miami, Clemson, Florida State, SMU, Louisville? Like, are you going to have better players than those schools? Because from what I can gather, it's going to take a lot for North Carolina to close that gap, even if they have a commitment to NIL on that front, which it sounds like they're going to. I don't see it. JD, he's got 8 Super Bowl rings as an assistant and as a head coach. That's awesome. We don't play for the Super Bowl in this sport. Super Bowl rings don't get you anything here. That doesn't have any impact on the collegiate game. In fact, those two things I think are extremely, I guess there's some similarities that we've gotten here between the NFL and college football over the course of the last few years. I think they're still very different when it comes to the type of player you deal with, when it comes to the type of roster you build, when it comes to how you acquire talent. Like, this is not going to be a copy and paste, oh, he had success in the NFL, so he can go to a place like North Carolina, who is not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination, and they can just turn that place upside down in a hurry. I don't see it. I really don't see it. Now, this is a dangerous water to wade into, so we're going to try and do it carefully. Bill Belichick without Tom Brady, record of 83 and 101. No, just let that sink in. 83 and 101. So I'm not saying he's not a good head coach, but if you take away Tom Brady, I think there's quite a bit of shine that is lost from the Bill Belichick reputation and the lure and all that. So I get it. I hope, like, as a college football fan, I hope this works. Like, Bill Belichick cutting promos every other Saturday and having, like, Duke, North Carolina be a fun matchup for everyone in the college football public. Like, I'm all here for that. I'm here for Manny Diaz versus Bill Belichick, but I don't see the fit. This makes no sense to me. I don't get it. I hope it works, but I do not see a world where this is something that we look down the line here and say, man, Bill Belichick's run at North Carolina was really cinematic, wasn't it? That was special. The Tar Heels made multiple college football playoff appearances, multiple ACC titles. I don't see it. I don't see it personally. But let me know in the comment section how you feel about that one, man. Let me know if I'm just wildly off base. But that was my initial reaction as that news broke yesterday. And we kind of prefaced it a little bit on the show yesterday, so I'm glad we got our 2 cents out there before it actually broke. But yeah, just it'll be fun press conferences. It'll be fun stories, but like I don't know how that works.